As the NHRA embarks on its second 50 years, it does so with a new series sponsor. But for the fans, nothing's changed. They live for the heart-stopping thunder of 6,000 horsepower. And if you think going over 300 miles an hour is easy, just ask 11-time champ John Force.
I want to put on a show, but the show starts in the pits. It starts with prayer early in the morning, and then, buddy, it's go get 'em. It's Newt Rockney and it's Vince Lombardi in charge out of that trailer. And they give you the finest car they can give you. And that's when the pressure goes on the driver, because you have to make a reaction. It's very critical in winning this race. You hit that throttle, all hell breaks loose. That front end picks up that car. You're not looking at oil pressure. You're not trying to even think. The front end was 2 feet in the air. I couldn't even find the racetrack. And I pedaled it once, and that means get off the gas. The front end come back down on the ground, and the car took one bounce on me. I felt it spun the tires. I come back out of it half throttle, got back after it, and motor down through it, and then she got loose at 800 foot, got over on the center line. I could see Bazemore out the window. I come her back, and I forgot to hit the parachutes, and I'm out the back door in the sand traps trying to roll her over. Wow! Did that worry you out or what?
ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports and the exclusive home of the National Hot Rod Association, presents the $50 million NHRA Powerade Drag Racing Series. Today from Pomona Raceway in Pomona, California, it's the season opener, the 42nd running of the K&N Filters Winternationals. And you can see not a cloud in the sky and not very many vacant seats in the grandstand. Perfect weather to open the 2002 campaign. And we started off where we left off last year with the 11-time champion, John Force. First up, here's Phil Stevens.
John Force continues to be the master of the incredible. He's going for his 10th straight Funny Car Championship, 12 overall, and he's the #1 qualifier here at the Winternationals, a race that he's already won 3 times. Is he focused? Well, he talked to Tony Pedregon this morning and said, look, we fulfilled our sponsorship commitments, our PR commitments. We've got one job today to win this race. And if he can do that enough times this year, pretty soon they'll be sizing him up for his 12th championship ring. Let's go to Dave Reef.
Bill, 2001 was a magical season for Kenny Bernstein, ending in a championship. Will there be another run to remember in 2002? Forever Red is the name of the 23-race retirement party that Kenny Bernstein is starting here today with a little bit of a struggle. This team has only had one good qualifying run thanks to the general. Tim Richards struggles with the new car combination. However, heading into race day, Kenny Bernstein feels the general does have a good grip on this tire so that the dark horse may be the right horse here today by day's end. Parker Johnstone.
Thanks, Dave. Cruz Pedregon is back in Funny Car. This new team started the weekend well, but in third-round qualifying action, Cruz accidentally deployed the chute during the burnout. In the 4th round, they went up in smoke. But this new team has already achieved one goal, which is to qualify for the Winternationals. The 92 Funny Car champion is back with a vengeance. They're down in the starting lane, and Cruz is ready to go. Marty?
Mike Dunn has 22 national event wins in his career, 10 in Funny Car, 12 in Top Fuel. 6 of the 10 fastest runs in NHRA history belong to the man who now sits on my right side. And we're glad to have you on board, Mike. And it's great to have you back with us as well as we begin the NHRA Powerade Drag Racing Series. Let's talk quickly about this 2002 season opener. Man, I got goosebumps.
Well, I'll tell you, it looks great, but the key here today, it's the warmest day of the weekend since they started running on Thursday. The teams are going to have a little bit few problems, probably in the 2nd and 3rd rounds when that track gets a little bit greasy. We're going to see them fuel cars start to spin the tires a little bit.
I can hear engines in the background. It's time to go racing. And down on the starting line, we're going to get our first look at our #1 qualifier. And 4:49 turned in by Andrew Cowan. A new track record, and here is the ladder in round #1. The arrow indicates who has the lane choice. We'll be showing you highlights of many of the passes here in round #1, and there you see Larry Dixon, the #2 qualifier. But right now, our attention focuses on Andrew Cowan in the left lane in the now white New York Yankees Top Fuel dragster. John Smith will be over in the right lane, and for Andrew, believe it or not, he's not the first Aussie to ever qualify #1 at the Winternationals. Back in the early 70s, Jim Reed, driving R.J. Trotter's car, held that distinction.
Yeah, Jim Reed's a great racer from down in Australia. I actually ran with him back in 1981 when I went down there and ran with Roland Leon and Hawaiian. But this race here, John Smith, as we look at him, I mean, basically what he's going to try to do is get that car from A to B. He knows he can't beat that Yankee car if it's on track and runs a 450. But if he can go down the track, run a 465, the Yankee car makes a mistake, he can get him.
Blazes the hides, and just like you called it, Mike, John Smith, not pretty at a 490, but he got it down the track quicker, and the 538 of Andrew Cowan. Now, let's go back and check in with some of the other pairs that we had earlier. First off, Corey McLennan in right lane, Rhonda Hartman-Smith in the left lane. Corey Mack has never lost to Rhonda head-to-head in competition, and 2002 would be no different. Corey runs a 473 and 304. Rhonda a 476. That would bring up Don Lampus in the left lane. Doug Herbert over in the right side. Lampus, he keeps the hides in one piece. Herbert goes up in smoke, a 466 at 315 miles an hour, and Lampus is into round two. Then it was Clay Milliken in the left lane. Yuichi Oyama, it's easy for me to say. He smokes the hides. 463, 319, Milliken on to second round. And then the title defense opens. Kenny Bernstein against David Grubnick. 459 to a 466, and KB advances to round number two. We'll be back with a lot more, and here is one of the preseason ceremonies. Introduction of some familiar faces here at the K&N Filters Winternationals. Today's ESPN Speed World event, the 42nd running of the K&N Filters Winternationals, is being brought to you by Powerade. By K&N Performance Filters, the world's best filtration with maximum horsepower. And by Goodyear, reminding you to take all your journeys on the wings of Goodyear. Back here at Pomona Raceway, next pair is backing up. But before we get to that, let's go to the far end to Bill Stevens.
These winning interviews are more fun than post-crash interviews, aren't they?
Oh, it's unbelievable. You know, the Fram car, we've just been trying real hard to get our feet back on the ground again since last year, and we're running real good this weekend, and I squeaked in the last minute, but I just want to thank all the fans, the support they give me, all the fan letters, draw, everybody there has really helped me out, especially my wife, Rhonda.
Andrew Cowan, very promising start to the weekend. Didn't finish, I know, the way you wanted it to.
Well, hey, you know, we ran that 49 on Friday or Saturday or whatever it was, but, you know, we're just trying to go out there and run a 45, but it was obviously too stout. But Ray Parsons, M&A, Mac Tools, and Yankees, and these guys, Munchables, Coast. Sorry, guys. Next one.
Larry Dixon in the left lane, Darrell Russell in the right. Well, it wasn't pretty, but Dixon gets down the track at 499 at 274 miles an hour because Darrell Russell, last year's winner here, went up in smoke a little bit quicker. And Dixon is now 6-0 lifetime against Darrell Russell. Now let's go back and catch up on the rest of Top Fuel action. Tony Schumacher over in the left lane. Wyatt Radke takes advantage of the tire smoke from Schumacher, 478. And Wyatt Radke is dumping Tony. And there you go on board. You can see just how quickly Radke goes away. And then rounding out our Top Fuel first round action, we'd have Doug Coletta and Scott Wise. Coletta over in the left lane. He lays down a beautiful 456 at 325 miles an hour. Wise, a respectable 476. But Coletta's 456 is going to be good enough to give him lane choice in round number two. And you can see the driving job that Larry Dixon just had to do to advance the second round here at the K&N Filters Winternationals. Sunday night at 8 Eastern, follow the trials and tribulations of a juvenile prison high school age football team as they get let out to play ball. Football, otherwise, they'd be locked up. The season behind bars, part of The Block on ESPN, starting Sundays at 8 o'clock Eastern. For more, log on to ESPN.com. St. Gabriel Mountains in the background. We're back at the K&N Filters Winternationals, all part of the NHRA Powerade Drag Racing Series. And let's take a look at the funny car ladder right now. And again, the arrow indicates who has lane choice. And number 1 faces number 16, John Force and Tommy Johnson. And you see the other pairings through the left side Over on the right side, well, there's number 2 qualifier, Whit Bazemore. He'll be up against Johnny Gray. And on down through the other 3 pairs on the right side of the ladder. Now there is Cruz Pedregon, and he will be coming up to do battle with Gary Dencham. The Advanced Auto Parts Pontiac is he'll be over in the left lane. Cruz qualified 14th. Gary Dencham, the number 3 qualifier, set a new national record at 3:26 yesterday in qualifying.
Cruz Pedregon and his new team are ready for their first attempt at elimination. I spoke to the crew. They said they feel like they're going to Las Vegas. Why is that? Well, they've got it tuned for a 480, they think. They've got all the knobs adjusted, but they're just not sure, not having any history or experience with this car, exactly what it'll do going down the run. They've got their fingers crossed, and they're hoping the best to get to the next round of elimination. Marty?
Thanks a lot, Parker. As you're looking at this, what are you noticing, Jeremy?
Well, I'm noticing that all the faster qualified cars in Top Fuel took the left lane. Gary Dencham decided to take the right lane. So they've seen something from Top Fuel to make that decision. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens here.
Well, Cruz Pedregon won back here in 1995 in Funny Car. And, of course, Dencham clicking off that 326-mile-an-hour blast yesterday in the qualifying. Dave Reed?
Are you guys talking about why Gary Dencham and Jimmy Brock may have selected that right lane for this opening round? Might have something to do with the fact that that 326-mile-per-hour blast didn't come out of that lane. And as far as track temperatures, they're going to be about the same as where they were last night. The sun hasn't been beating down too hard this morning, so hey, why not go where you know and run what you run like you did last night?
Well, they bring the cars to the line in 15 head-to-head matchups between these two over their career. Cruz has won 12 of them. His debut back into the sport about to take place. Trouble for Cruz. Looks like something happened in the engine compartment. A nice 479 at 318 miles an hour. A very clean pass by Gary Dencham as he takes care of Cruz Pedregon's debut. Cruz may be thinking about coming back to the booth right now. He's not going to be liking this one.
But you see here, he's got a cylinder out right there. Looks like he tried to pedal it. Maybe something happened there. I couldn't tell, but the car was running okay, and then it started mixing them up, and then you see the big fire underneath, explosion underneath the body, and that was the end of Cruz's day.
479 at 318. You can see Cruz is out of the car, and while they get Cruz taken care of, let's go back and show you during the commercial break the run between Del Worsham and John Lawson. Worsham over in the left lane. Now he stops the clock at 483 at 319 miles an hour. Lawson could only manage a 505 in the Lucas Oil Funny Car. And so that 479 now turned in by Gary Dencham becomes the quickest of elimination so far in the 2-pair of Funny Car that we have already seen, and a lot more coming up. There's John Force, the 11-time champion here at Pomona. Stay with us. 42 years we've been coming to Pomona, the National Hot Rod Association. Fans just jamming the stands, and already in 2002 we've seen some upsets and some thundering performances, and now we're getting ready to see the king of Funny Car. The 11-time champion John Force qualified number 1 at a 474. He's already backed that up with a 476, and you know he's already with that 74 capable. If he runs a number here, he could set a new national mark. We'll keep you posted on that. Tommy Johnson's got a tough task.
Definitely has a tough task. He's in that left lane. John Force took the right lane like his teammate Gary Dencham the previous run. Reason is, obviously, because Gary ran the 326. He saw him run a 479 just in front of it. Plus, John Force smoked the tires in that left lane in the last session yesterday. So all that put together, that's why he's taking the right lane. I think it's the right choice.
You better believe it was the right choice. A 480 at 324. TJ goes up in smoke, and they'll be scratching their heads back in Perdome's camp. Crew chief Mike Green and Force having trouble getting it slowed down and can't make the turn. And he just misses going out the back door, as he called it in our pre-tease, and hitting the sandbox. Take another look.
Well, here we see our instant replay. Tommy Johnson got a little bit of a jump off the starting line, but then it was pretty much over for him. He spun the tires there in the middle. See from down track. Tommy leaves the starting line, gets a little bit out of the groove, and it starts to spin the tires, and then it gets a long ways out of the groove. John Force, on the other hand, his car has been moving to the left towards the center, but he comes back in there. We watch John again on super slow motion here. Front end's up, all the candles are lit, looks nice and clean. She's moving around a little bit down there, and we see the car tends to want to move towards the center as it gets right to that point about in the center.
Hey, Bill, he's won this thing 3 times, but the last time was 97, and last year he got punched out in the first round. I think he might be breathing a little easier.
He's breathing easier, but he kind of made a wrong turn. What happened?
Yeah, made you a little nervous. Must have been later in Chutes. I don't think so. Chutes didn't come down. She's trucking down through there. I know she ran like 3:15 or something. I got on the brakes and she slid sideways and not much, but come around. I just didn't want to put her in the sand, tear the front end off. So we're okay. That's what Castle Ford pays us for.
John, one more thing. Right lane seems to be the better lane for your cars today.
I don't make lane choices. That's Bernie Federley. Austin, man, this Pomona gets tougher every year.
You're working hard already.
Every year. Don't tell Castle.
Cruz, not a bad weekend with a brand new team. You've qualified. It's a long ride back to the hauler. What are you feeling?
Not very good. You know, it's one thing to get beaten. It's another thing to not really put up a fight, and that's really what happened out there. I actually blew the engine up too. It looks like it torched the head gaskets out, and I hit the fire bottles and everything. We had a pretty rough weekend. It didn't quite go as we planned it, but you know, it's a difficult thing to get out here in funny car today and ride out of the blocks. You know, with all the great sponsors, Advanced Auto Parts, and everybody bringing me back. It's been a great effort. We did qualify, and I haven't done that since 1997. Believe it or not. But we'll go back and fix it. We'll get ready for Phoenix. You know, one of the things that I've stressed to my team, Parker, is, and I want to let all the fans know, all 24,000 Advanced Auto Parts employees, that I want them to have a good attitude when things aren't going good, because I've been involved with teams that they only had a good attitude when we were winning, and that's not always going to happen. So I think the key for me as an owner and a leader of this team is to get back, get the group of guys together. Hey, we qualified. Let's do better. Let's figure out what happened, and let's go get them in Phoenix.
Well, he ran good there.
Back down at the starting line, you've got Whit Bazemore and Johnny Gray going head-to-head. Gray over in the left lane, Bazemore in the right lane, the number 2 qualifier. Trouble for Bazemore, but none for Johnny Gray. 487, 314, and Bazemore is out of here in first round. Now, if we've got a chance, let's take a look at our Army profile. Gary Scelzi, who made the switch from Top Fuel to Funny Car this season, is today's subject. 3 Top Alcohol Funny Car wins, 5 Top Fuel wins, and of course, he won the K&N Winternationals Top Fuel Championship in '97 and 2000. And there is Gary Scelzi now making the switch over to the new Toyota of Alan Johnson's, as they are getting ready for their pass. He'll be over in the left lane. Tony Pedregon had the lane choice, and number 4 qualifiers in the right side.
Yeah, I'll tell you, it's going to be interesting. Gary Scelzi just wants to get this car down the track, straight down the track, set up like he did yesterday, and he could have a good shot.
Scelzi gets awfully close to the wall, and Pedregon ends up going up in smoke, and a 5:01 as Scelzi takes the win light in his first race in Funny Car. Wow, what an upset. Take a look, because it looked like Pedregon was going to have this one covered.
Yeah, we see on replay that both cars leave together. Gary puts a cylinder out right there. That cylinder's out. He's in trouble there. Tony, on the other hand, he starts mixing up big time down right there. Gary gets real close to the wall, but gets the win. Here we are in super slow motion. Gary hikes the front end out. We're probably going to see a cylinder go out. And what happens when that cylinder went out right there, that pushed the car over towards the wall. Got him out of the groove, but luckily he had the cylinder. I didn't have too much horsepower to spin the tires too hard. It spun a little bit right there, but it was enough to get the win.
So Gary Scelzi does a nice driving job in his first round of competition. Now the arrow indicates who was leading at that point on the track. So you can see in reaction time it was Pedregon, and at 660 at half track, he was ahead.
Yeah, you can see he left a little bit first, and then Gary Scelzi started picking up at 60 feet, but then they dropped the cylinders, and then Tony mixed them up and made it even worse.
Let's go to the far end, Bill Stevens.
I'm with Johnny Gray and Whit Bazemore. Johnny, we'll start with you. Your first race with your new team and a major upset victory.
Yeah, well, you know, Witt got me several times last year, so, you know, but, boy, I'm tickled to death to be on the Checker Shucks and Kraken car. We got a whole pit full of, you know, store managers and everything else tied up with Checker Shucks and Kraken out here. And, man, I don't know what to say. I'm just excited to be with these guys. They're a great group of guys.
As excited as you are, Witt obviously disappointed when we were here in November, the foul out in the final round, now the first round loss here. This racetrack ain't been good to you lately.
No, it's kind of disgusting, actually, what we just did. But it's a long year, you know. We've got a great team, and it's going to be tough. But I tell you right now, I just want Scotty Cannon to get his first win today. Funny car. He's my teammate. We've become friends. No one believes that, but it'd be great for him to get his first win today, and that's what I want. So,
was the car just overmatched for the racetrack?
Yeah, it was way down track. I mean, we were on a good lap and did what it did yesterday in the first run, just way down there around the half track, just blows the tires off. And at that point, the only thing you can hope for is that Johnny in the other lane was having the same problems, and he went right on by. So it's just the way it goes.
In the major battle between Whit Bazemore and John Force. John Force will have a better ending to the day than Whit.
Now, of course, the reference to the friends now. Past, we've all been known to wait for Scotty Cannon to bounce Bazemore off the side of the trailer last year a few times. But right now, these guys are teammates. And here's Scotty looking into the mad scientist. And they got in on the last run. Yesterday's in qualifying. Now, there's still something going on down in Cruz Pedregon's pit. Parker?
Well, there sure is, Marty. These guys are going after this motor change as though they advance to the next round. The reality is they're actually going home. But I'm with Josh Baltimore. This is Josh's very first race working at the NHRA. Josh, I mean, holy smoke, what a roller coaster of emotions this weekend's been.
Yeah, it's been really hard. These guys deserve a lot more credit than I have. This is my first race. This is actually one of the first times I've actually worked on a fun car. I've been around the sport for a long time now, and I'm just trying to get into it, you know, learn all that I can.
But before we came on camera, what did you tell me? How did you feel?
I'm really nervous. This is the first time I've ever been on television or worked on the car.
That's all right. He got on the air and he said, man, this sucks. I hate losing, and that's how everybody feels. Let's go to Bill with Gary Scelzi. Bill?
Well, let the record show Gary Scelzi has his first win in a Nitro Funny car.
I tell you what, I was so wound up. You know, I did everything wrong. All of a sudden, I had both pumps on before I was ready to go. I was a little nervous racing Tony. That's another Force car. Those guys qualified 1, 2, and 3. But to give Toyota their first round win, Gary Scelzi to get down there, didn't hit nothing, shut it off early, had a little fire. Had a lot of stuff going on in that Black Cap Toyota, but we're okay. We're okay. We'll go back and learn how to work on this thing, and hopefully nobody will bump their head on the body, and we'll be here for second round.
Hey, what's it like to work for a living now?
God, I'm going to tell you what, I'm going to have to get paid double time. Thank
you. Back at the starting line, Scotty Cannon last year at this event was punched out in the first round. For Dean Scuzzi, he's already 100% better than last year. He didn't qualify here last year. He's over in the right lane. Scuzzi goes up in smoke, and Cannon takes his first step towards fulfilling Bazemore's desire. 487 at 311, and the mad scientist is moving on to the second round.
Well, we're going to see here on an instant replay, both cars leave pretty close together. Scuzzi was actually on a pretty good run, got a little bit squirrely there, and then got loose, spun the tires, and that hurt him right there. The run was pretty much over. Scotty Cannon, on the other hand, pretty much straight towards the end, till the end, and he runs that 487. Now, interesting note, Scuzzi took a little bit of spoiler off before that last run. I don't know if that might have hurt him or not.
Let's take a look at a couple of the runs that we have not been able to show you just yet. First up, Bob Bodie in the right lane. Ron Capps over in the left lane. Bodie strikes the cords. Capps cruises to a 482 at 313 miles an hour. That is a car to be reckoned with today. Keep your eye on it. Then Jerry Tolliver and Al Hoffman. Hoffman in the left lane. 489 with a 2. And Tolliver at a 489 with a 6. Just loses at the stripe. Now let's go to Bill with Scotty Cannon.
Everybody else on Team Schumacher's back in the dugout. Scotty Cannon going around 2, 487 to 311.
Well, you know, A lot of pressure racing under Schumacher in Oakland. You know, that's I think my 5th win in the last 2 years. But, you know, we're all out here for a team, and we're going to pull as a team and run as a team, because there'll be a time when I'm out first round, I'll be over there pulling for those guys. But we got a big dog to fry next time. I ain't sure what in the world they was doing back there, but we had us up, I think, run 84 or 5, and old Zippy back there changing knobs back there, but he must have matched the right ones, thinking.
Mohawk power lives on. Dave Reef.
Well, at least one of Don Schumacher's 3 cars is moving on to round 2. One of those guys is not Tony Schumacher. How disappointing after coming in here and really doing well, especially that big 330 speed we saw yesterday.
Oh, yeah, we wanted to run good. You know, we wanted to run real good, and the car's been performing. We had 24 test laps in Phoenix. The car ran good almost every time we come down here. So it's very disappointing, but on the other hand, we have a lot of good things in this car. We have a lot of good teammates. And we're going to have some real good success. It's just no fun to come to the first race. Pomona, this is a big one, you know, Winternationals, and you want to win it. But for the Army, everyone's behind us. We got a lot of support, and we'll just go to the next race, go to Phoenix where we tested well, and try to take home a trophy.
Sarge is back, Marty.
Well, and that big dog you heard Scotty Cannon talking about, he matches up with John Force next round, and Force has got lane choice. Don't go away. Pro Stock is up next here at the K&N Winternationals. Coming up right after our NHRA Powerade Drag Racing Series event, it'll be Sports Center with Bill Pito and Dave Revson. They'll bring you all the day's highlights, including all the latest on the Olympics and, of course, NBA All-Star Weekend. 7 o'clock Eastern Time up next here on ESPN. And for more, log on to ESPN.com. Man, the food looks good. A note of sadness hit the NHRA family just a couple of days ago. Bill Smith, a member of the Pro Stock team of Greg Anderson's, passed away unexpectedly. He went in for gallstones and all of a sudden suffered a massive heart attack, and the loss has hit the Anderson camp very hard.
Bill put this whole operation together. I mean, he's just a fantastic guy, and he was just everything to me, you know. I loved having him around, and he would have been under my employ the rest of my career. You know, he's just a great guy, and it was such a shock.
And we also send our condolences to Bill's family. Now let's get you caught up on highlights in Pro Stock. First off, Mike Edwards takes care of Darrell Alderman with a 683 to a 687. And Edwards over in the left lane. Then Greg Anderson up against the defending champion. That's right, WJ's in a yellow car this year. Greg trying to win, but he comes up just a tad short. Warren runs 681 at 202. Then it was Kurt Johnson and Tom Martino. KJ, he takes care of business over Martino, 682 to a 687, and almost 203 miles an hour for Kurt Johnson. Next up, Bruce Allen, V Gaines. Allen runs a 684 with a 2. 6/1000 slower is V Gaines. He was actually better in the mile-an-hour department, but Allen was first to the line. And then watch out for Tommy Hammonds, the former NBA star, now full-time drag racer. Tattoos Alan Johnson with a 683. There's open daylight between those two hot rods. And then that brought up Mark Osborne and Larry Morgan. And Osborne, sleeping on the tree, just gets nailed. A 684, and Osborne gets out at 690, and Morgan moves on. Then it's Jim Yates, Mark Powell. Yates sets a new track record in that split-fire Pontiac, 680, 202 miles an hour, sending Powell onto the trailer. And the old track record holder, #1 qualifier, Ron Krischer, well, he got hole-shotted 8 times last year, and guess what? He got hole-shotted the first time out this year. George Marnell gets a 685 to the quicker, but losing 683. So that sets up round number 2 of Pro Stock. Here's the way it shakes out. The arrow indicates who has the lane choice. It'll be Edwards over Marnell, Hammonds over Allen, and on the right side it'll be Jim Yates over the Professor. Remember, they finished 1-2 in the points last year, and KJ over Larry Morgan. Now, Saturday in qualifying, Dave Reef showed us the basics of a funny car. Today, Bill Stevens does the same with a top fuel machine in our Suzuki Track Fact. Track Fact is brought to you by Suzuki Motorcycles.
Well, anybody who has watched NHRA Powerade drag racing knows that a top fuel dragster is the quickest accelerating automobile in all of motorsports. So let's take a closer look at what makes these animals tick. These cars have a 300-inch wheelbase. They weigh 2,150 pounds. That front wing puts about 3,500 pounds of downforce on the front of the car. And way in the back over the engine, that wing puts 8,000 pounds of downforce on the car to keep it glued to the racetrack. The engine, that is a 500 cubic inch nitromethane burning alloy V8 supercharged that makes about 6,000 horsepower. You put it all together, you've got an automobile that'll do the quarter mile in 4.5 seconds at over 330 miles an hour and needs 2 parachutes to stop safely.
And one very brave driver. In fact, we're going to commercial break, and next up it will be Top Fuel, second round, coming your way here from the K&N Winternationals. Don't forget, Sunday night at 8 o'clock Eastern, follow the trials and tribulations of a juvenile prison high school age football team as they get let out of jail to play football. Otherwise, they'd be locked up. It's the season behind bars, part of the block on ESPN. And after the season, stay tuned to the block for Pardon the Interruption, Sports Century 1980, and Sidelines LA Hoops presented by Gatorade. For more, log on to ESPN.com. Let's take a look now at the ladder, the way it shapes up here in round number 2. Arrow indicates who has lane choice. First pair out is going to be Corey Mack up against John Smith. Then we'll also see Mr. Coletta with the lane choice over Kenny Bernstein. On the right side, Don Lampus with the lane choice in a rematch of a pivotal race from last year with Larry Dixon, Clay Milliken, and Wyatt Radke rounding out this second round of competition. For Corey Mack, he'll be over in the right lane this time. John Smith over in the left side.
Corey had lane choice and he took the right lane. Really, lane choice doesn't seem to make a big difference. His lanes have always been generally pretty close.
Well, both cars have all kinds of trouble. And Corey Mack's going to get the win in a very ugly 6:55 at a blistering 130 miles an hour. John Smith had even more problems to an 8:33. Let's go back and take a look.
Yeah, John Smith let this one get away. The car spun the tires almost immediately. As soon as it hacks the front end up, it starts spinning. You see the cylinders going out because there's no load on the motor. He gets out of the throttle, gets back in it. Well, he'll get back in it when he sees Corey have trouble. Down track, Corey's putting cylinders out down there, getting in big-time trouble. He'll get back in it one more time to try to catch him, but it's all for naught. Corey coasts across the finish for the win.
So that'll bring up the next pair, and you're looking at the Miller Lite with Larry Dixon. He'll be up against Don Lampus, and this is a rematch of last year's pivotal race. Won at the Fall Vegas event. And take a look, because Dixon was over in the left lane. He blisters the tires. Lampus goes on for the win, and you can see the look of, I can't believe we did that on Dick LaHaye. And it was the turning point in the championship, although every round counts.
Exactly. And we may see a repeat of this because Larry Dixon actually spun the tires in the first round, did a good job of pedaling to save that win. And here he is up against Don Lampus again, who got down the track and ran that 460. We could see history repeat itself, but I don't know. Dixon's awfully tough. We'll see.
Dixon's going to be on the right lane. Lampus over in the left.
Down at the top end, Corey McClenathan just proved to everybody you still remember how to do this.
Well, we know how to do it. That was one of their uglier ones, but I always told everybody in drag racing, you need a little bit of luck. That was our little bit of luck. We better have our stuff together for the rest.
That's going to be a concern in the second round of this racetrack. A little bit warmer than it was in round 1, guys.
Thanks, Bill. And we're looking at one more shot of that run by both those cars. Guarantee you both these crew chiefs back here are probably scratching their heads as we get ready for this one. Let's go back to Dave Reed. What you got cooking, Dave?
Well, back with the guy we're used to watching in this round that'll actually come up in the funny cars. It's Gary Scelzi, fresh off that first round win in the funny car. New father, by the way. Tell us all about that.
Yeah, November 28th, which is my father's 28th birthday, Julie gave birth to Giovanni James, 6 pounds, 13 ounces, and they're all at home right now watching. And Dominic says, Dad, go win, go win. So John Force is one of his favorites, and I said, what are you going to do when Dad's got to race John? He goes, well, I'll root for you, Dad, if I have to.
Trying to duplicate that Top Fuel feat he did here in Pomona back in 97.
Well, Dad's not nervous. Grandpa is 80, not 28. So congratulations. Dixon had to pedal a little bit. You can hear him come out of the throttle. He runs a 470 and 318, and he survives because Don Lampus has all kinds of problems over in the left lane. This track has definitely thrown a curveball to these guys, Mike.
I'll tell you, Larry Dixon is earning his money today. This is the second time he's had to do this. Great light, 475 light. He was off the line first, spun the tires, drops the cylinder. He pedals it, gets back on it, hazes the tires again, but then it dries up and goes down for the win. Fantastic job.
And there's one happy fan who has a brand new hat other than NHRA Powerade Tour. Stay with us. We're coming back to the K&N Filters Winternational. With Mike Dunn, Bill Stevens, Dave Reef, Parker Johnstone, I'm Marty Reed. We're at Pomona Raceway in Pomona, California. Beautiful day. Temperature's starting to go up a little bit, which is making life difficult for these top fuel dragsters here in round number 2 of the K&N Winternationals. And then just a few moments ago, this is what it looked like for Larry Dixon. As you're looking into the cockpit of Wyatt Radke, Clay Millican in the right lane, driver's right.
Larry Dixon, great job pedaling. This is why drivers are getting paid the big money, not the other way around. Larry Dixon just pedals it. He's won both rounds on his driving, helping Dick LaHaye, and that's why he's there.
And let's go to Dave. Or Bill, I'm sorry, Bill.
Thanks. Down here with Larry Dixon. Man, 499 and a 470. Not exactly breaking their backs, but you're going to the semis.
Yeah, that's the important part, you know, with the Miller Lite car, getting them round wins. You know, it's never too soon to start counting points, you know, but we got the car in the semis. We keep making runs. We can keep adjusting for it. And spun the tires pretty good on the first round run. Well, that run, we got further down the track, so hopefully we'll even get further down the track from the semis.
Track's just hot, basically. You got to find a tune-up that works on it.
Well, we got a different motor and stuff like that. We got different tires, different tracks, stuff like that. But I would bet anything it's the Arrows, not the Indians.
Gotcha.
Hey, you can tell him he's got lane choice, Bill, because Clay Millican just ran a 477, which is 7/100ths slower than Larry Dixon. So he survives another bullet because Clay Millican takes care of Wyatt Radke. Radke ran a very nice 481 at 302, but he is going home here in round number 2. Now Parker Johnstone is still back in the pit area with the Advanced Auto Parts team. What's going on there?
Well, Marty, it's the final installment of Cruz Pendergon's excellent adventure as he returns to the cockpit of Funny Car. Cruz, it's a bittersweet weekend. You accomplished some things, but you also learned a lot. After that first round of elimination when you went out, the big engine problem, what did you learn? What did you discuss? What are you going to do for Phoenix?
Well, we're going to change our approach. We felt we came out here with too much supercharger. Really, what it boils down to, we met myself and the crew chief and the consultant, and really have a good feeling about what we need to fix. You know, we woulda, coulda, shoulda. Had we had to do it over again, we could have fixed it. But you know, that's the way this racing goes. You're out. There's nothing to talk about. But we'll be ready for Phoenix. We have a good feeling of where direction we're going to go. And hey, it hurts. I mean, it hurts to go out. We're winners. We don't want to go out in the first round at all. And we're just going to get better. We've only had 12 runs. We counted our testing and the 4 runs we made here this weekend. And not to mention the parachute scenario where we lost the run that put us behind. We just can't afford to make those errors there. But we'll get better for sure.
Well, there you have it. This team's only done 12 runs together. You look at the thousands of runs that Force has done. Yeah, sure, they didn't make it to the finals, but these guys did qualify, and they'll be ready for Phoenix. Marty?
All right, thanks, Parker. You're on board with Doug Coletta as he completes his burnout. You know, over the winter, the drivers get the cars physically prepared, and the crew chiefs as well, and the drivers get themselves mentally ready. Some of those drivers, though, are apprehensive. Most are excited about 2002.
Well, I think we're a little bit nervous, but we're trying to calm that down. You know, this is the beginning of the year. It's not the end of the year. We were here, you know, we're here to start the season. We want to get a good head start on things, go out here and benchmark ourselves against the other cars, see how we run, and then we'll take it from there.
I'm real comfortable. And the reason I'm comfortable is because of the success we had last year. People say, well, what about the pressure? Well, pressure was nothing last year compared to the pressure for the previous 2 years when you only won 1 race. That's pressure. Well, winning the championship last year, it took all that pressure off for this year.
I mean, I'm geared up. I mean, I didn't go anywhere. I mean, when I flew home from Pomona at the end of the year, I didn't fly anywhere until it was time to go test it in Phoenix. So I really got charged up, and I'm really excited to get the season going right now.
And you're looking at Kenny Bernstein and the Budweiser King, Lucas Oil Top Fueler. He'll be over in the right lane. Bernstein is 12 up and 6 down against Doug Coletta, who is in the left lane and has the lane choice in this matchup. He hands it to Bernstein, and Kenny could only manage a 5:01. So Bernstein dodges a bullet, and what they say, I'd rather be lucky than good. While he coasts on out, let's get caught up with Clay Millican, who has advanced the second round, Bill.
Clay Millican, about a 1/10.5 slower on that run. Are you guys trying to adjust the car to this racetrack? It's a little hotter now.
I don't have a clue. You have to ask Mike Clover, because all I do is get in there and drive that thing. But you know what? I got a couple people in here, and I got to say, Mr. Dwayne and Donna, y'all should be here. We're having fun. We miss you. And I tell you what, here we go again, and we are ready. Clover's got this thing going down the racetrack, and the Werner car is just rolling. We got some brand new Matco tools, and we are pumped up about it, too.
Mr. Enthusiasm, Clay Millican.
Yeah, calm him down a little. Now let's go back and take a look at Kenny Bernstein. This was not the kind of run he wanted, Mike. Look at it, both sides.
Yeah, like you said, I mean, Kenny definitely dodged a big one here. I don't know what went wrong to drop cylinders on both sides of the motor, and then basically the motor went away before the finish. Got a big break there.
For Doug Coletta, it's the first time he has fouled, or he only had one foul in 2001. Stay with us. More coming your way here in Pomona. Coming up next, it'll be SportsCenter with Bill Pito and Dave Repson, and it looks like they're going to be talking about Marvin Lewis staying as the defensive coordinator in Baltimore. He's not going to go to Tampa Bay. Get the details along with what's happening at Daytona. For more, log on to ESPN.com. Time now for flopper action is we've got Al Hoffman and Johnny Gray coming up here in the first 4 pairs. And here's round 2. Arrow indicates who's got the lane choice. Force over Scotty Cannon. Ron Capps over Gary Scelzi. And on the right side, you see that it's Johnny Gray over Al Hoffman and Gary Densham over Del Worsham.
You know, this is a good matchup. You know, Al Hoffman and Jim Dunn's team have been running really, really good early numbers all through preseason. They just haven't been able to get it to run on the other end. But I'll tell you what, if they do that, that car's going to start flying here shortly. This run, they're just going to try and get it down the track and get a win.
Well, it's not going to happen for Hoffman as Johnny Gray, a 487, and in his debut in the blue Checker Shucks Kragen machine, he has advanced to the semifinals, 308 miles an hour. So as he coasts on out, let's go to the far end, put a period on Top Fuel with Kenny Bernstein, Bill.
Kenny Bernstein is happy. Usually when you run a 501, you're not happy afterwards.
We're lucky. Lucky as dogs on that one, you know, for Bud, Lucas, Mac. That's good, but we got lucky. Doug made a mistake over there. We blew it up. We hurt the motor pretty good, so we're going to have to go back, work on it, put a little Powerade in it, and try to go again.
Kenny Bernstein, forever red, and that time forever lucky.
Well, and also, remember Corey McLenithan, who will race in the semifinals, had even bigger problems. Believe it or not, the 501 gets Kenny lane choice. That's how lucky it has been today. So we'll move on as Johnny Gray has moved on as well. And so far, that team has done some very impressive work through 2 rounds of racing.
Yeah, both Dell and Johnny Gray have been running pretty good consistently in the 480s. They need to keep doing that if they want to win today, but it looks like they got a decent handle on it.
Well, we've got a little bit of a delay here on the track, so before they fire engines, we're going to take a commercial break here at the NHRA Powerade Drag Racing Series. Come on back. Yeah, let's take care of the sponsor. Sun shining down on Pomona Raceway here in Pomona, California. The 42nd running of the K&N Filters Winternationals. And next up, a very interesting matchup. Del Worsham over in the left lane, and that man right there, Gary Densham. Densham has set a new national record, did it yesterday in qualifying at 326.87 miles an hour, and right now, he's in love with that right lane. He's going to be there again because he's got the lane choice, but Densham's and Worsham, they're so evenly matched in this race.
Well, this is a great matchup. Like you said, Gary Densham's been running really well, high 470s. Del Worsham, on the other hand, has been running them low 480s. He's very good on the lights. This is a great matchup here.
Del is already pre-staged. You can see they were just making a final last-minute adjustment on Gary's car. Worsham got him on the tree, a 489 at 273. But look at this, the reaction time. 464 for Del and a 597 for Gary. Set up a 10.
Boy, and you could see it from that side shot when we first left the starting line. Watch Del Worsham move way ahead of Gary Densham. Gary Densham, a 597 light, just really, really late. He went in a little bit deep. He rolled her in, and I think he took a little bit too much time, and it may have thrown him off just a little bit. There you see Dell got a big jump off the starting line.
This is turning into a big weekend for the Checker Shucks Cragen team. They are going to have 2 cars in the semifinals, and unfortunately, though, for them, they're going to go head-to-head. Next time around, it'll be Dell with the lane choice going to his teammate, Johnny Gray. Now, while we're waiting for Dell to climb out of the cockpit, let's go back. We were talking about Kenny Bernstein's situation, and you made an interesting comment during the break. This was not a tune-up era.
Yeah, this is real interesting. I mean, the car leaves here. It's run on basically 8 cylinders, and as it goes down the track, what we're going to see, if you watch on both sides here, the headers there, both cylinders are going to go out about the same time. Then what's going to happen is the engine is going to explode shortly after that. Well, what that means, when those cylinders go out, basically, you have 2 holes that are not, basically burning the fuel. That supercharger is making 40 pounds of boost. It's normally used to go into 8 cylinders. It is now, all that air is going to 6 cylinders. That's way too much air to keep that motor happy. The motor lets go, and that's basically what happened, I think.
Let's go to the far end of Bill.
Team Castro getting picked off 1 car at a time, and now Del Worsham, you're heading on.
I'll tell you what, a lot of drama up there. Turned the air bottle, had a huge air leak up there, and I think NHRA and Gary Dix for waiting for us, but that's what got fixed. And I heading hard to the right. Cragen car got the final. I tell Ron Chisholm we missed him. Hope to see him soon. Thank you.
Guys, I'll tell you, luck really coming into play throughout eliminations today. Dell had no air bottle, but Gary Densham, very late on the light and handed it away.
All right, let's talk about the air bottle as we watch John Force back up against Scotty Cannon.
Well, basically what he was talking about, the air bottle, everything is controlled by pneumatics, which is an air system. There's an air bottle that controls that. When you push on the throttle, it activates the fuel system and the clutch system. If there's not enough air there or no air in there, then those systems aren't going to work. Basically, you're not going to see the clutch at the right time. The fuel's not going to get to it at the right time. Evidently, it just ran a little bit low. He still ran a decent number, but obviously would have been better had he had a full air bottle.
Yeah, because he ran a 489 without it. Would have been interesting to see what he had with it. All right, here we go. This is Scotty Cannon head-to-head with John Force. Cannon's over in the left lane. John in the right side. This is a big opportunity. Whit Bazemore, his Cannon's teammate, has already been punched out as you look at Austin Coyle. And Scotty Cannon's biggest fan right now is Whit.
Yeah, Whit will be cheering him on because he obviously wants to see Scotty get his first win, and nothing could be better if he could beat John Force doing it. But he's got a tough task ahead of him.
Well, yeah, in 12 matchups in their career, John's won 10 of them.
Nobody wants the stage first.
Force puts him away with a 480, 322-mile-an-hour blast. Cannon hazed the tires just enough. He ends up with a 515.
Yeah, this was a pretty good race at the start. Scotty actually got about 200s on the tree off the starting line right there. But boy, it didn't take long. Scotty started spinning the tires down track right there, and then that was all it took for John Force to go by. We'll see here again. They're basically pretty much even. Then right about here, you're going to see Scotty start to spin the tires, cylinders go out, and that's all she wrote. John screams by for the win.
So John Force is letting everyone know it's not going to be like last year, guys, where I am out of here early in the first race of the season. What about it, Bill?
John Force climbing out of the car. He ran 480, 324 in round 1. He runs another 480, 322 in the second round. And as we mentioned at the top of the show, John Force made it clear to his team this morning that winning this race was the #1 priority. John, you're crushing him.
Well, just don't tell this old boy's an underdog coming into Pomona, because it may not bother me, but it sure makes my boys mad. And they worked hard, so we sent both them Matco cars home, and we'll try to focus on the rest of the race. Dencham's deal hurt me, got me up. Don't like to see my boys beat, but Castro Ford, Fidel machine that creates all the technology that goes in these cars, unbelievable. So I'm excited. There's a handprint from Fran for you there, boss.
I'll never wash my shirt. Parker Johnstone?
Well, I'm down here with Tim Richards. Tim, that last run, Doug redlighted. You guys got away with it. What happened?
Well, our car was actually on a pretty good run, and went out there and dropped the cylinder, and right after it dropped the cylinder, it threw a rod out. But that's just a result of trying to back the clutch down too much, and then the car loses its load and it starts running on less than 8 cylinders, and anything can happen at that point.
Well, the guys are thrashing on this engine change. Let's listen.
And as we go back to the starting line, we get ready for our final pair here in Funny Car. There is Gary Scelzi, a winner in his first round of competition in a Funny Car. Took care of Capps, our Forces teammate. He'll be up against Ron Capps, and Capps so far, man, you talk about a team that's been very consistent. Ace McCullough's got this car thundering.
Yeah, Ron Capps got to be feeling real good right about now. He's got a real consistent race car that goes down the track. Ron's a great lever. They're going to try to basically just go up there and do the same thing and hope they get the round win.
Capps won back here in '98, his only final round. Could it be a second final round today? We're about to find out. Again, he just motors on through at a 483, 316, very consistent, very straight. Ron Capps, Scelzi blazes the tires, coasts on through at an 841. So let's take a look at the semifinal matchups. Force will have the lane choice by 3/100ths over Ron Capps, and over on the other side, it'll be a matchup of the CSK cars with Johnny Gray having the lane choice. Back here at the K&N Filters Winternationals, and I don't think I want to give him my top fuel race in, and she just cleaned his clock. Oh, I won! Oh, surprise! I'm ready. Give me the ride. Here's the way it's going to shape up in Pro Stock. Arrow indicates who has the lane choice. First pair we're going to see is going to be Tommy Hammonds and Bruce Allen, and we'll show you the right side of the ladder here real quickly, and you see that the 1 and 2 in the championship chase, WJ and Jim Yates, are going to lock horns again here in round number 2. The first race of the 2002 NHRA Powerade Drag Racing Series season. Boy, Tommy Hammonds left side, number 4 qualifier. He's been thundering with that Ron Krischer power. Going to thunder again, a 683, a 201 to a losing 687 for Bruce Allen. So Tommy Hammonds, who made it to 2 finals last year, has advanced to the semifinals here in the opening race of 2002. So the Winnebago machine moves on. Now let's go back just moments ago as take a look at Ron Capps one more time as he is hot, straight, and normal.
Ron Capps did exactly what they want to do. Ed McCullough tuned this thing. He was just going out there to run another 482, and it ran a 483. Got the win.
Let's go to Bill Stevens at the far end.
Yesterday during qualifying, Ron Capps, you saw you and John Force side by side, and you said doesn't matter when you race him, it's always the hit of the weekend, and now you got him in the semifinals.
Yeah, heck, we race some rental cars back at the hotel at night sometimes, so we all gauge ourselves over at Force's deal. But I tell you, Skull Green Team, and we got what it takes. We got Mac Tools, Champion, Spark Plugs, Lucas Oil's on board now. Most people don't like to be on the car just for the looks. I mean, they want to win, and that's what it's all about. I tell you what, beating Scelzi was great because, you know, you get up there and you want to shove it in there and stage and you get a light on him, and you know he's thinking the same thing, and we're good friends. We go back a long way, and he's having fun, but, you know, it wasn't going to be a princess over there winning her first race, I guarantee you.
Lane choice going to be a factor?
Well, you know, that time, princess, I didn't mean that in a bad way, Gary. But, yeah, it's... Ace, you know, we reached in there and we saw Force. The good thing was Force is in front of us, so we know who we're going to run next round, what he's going to, and what he ran will tell us if we need lane choice. And so I had to shallow stage as much as possible, and we tried to beat that 80. I don't think it's going to be. We're in the left lane the first round, ran 88 too, so I think we'll be okay.
It should be a prime timer.
One prime timer going down the track right now. Mike Edwards left lane, George Marnell right lane, and it is Marnell winning at a 685 at 201. To a very close 686 from Mike Edwards. So for George Marnell, who won on a hole shot in round number 1 and did that 8 times last year, this time he just drives on past.
Yeah, we're going to see here on replay, I mean, both cars basically left the line together. There was only 2,000ths difference in the lights. Just basically, Mike Edwards didn't quite have the power to keep up with George Marnell. Right there at the end, he just clicks by. Look how close that is, but he gets the win.
Now let's take a look at the intervals. Margin of victory turns out to be 4/1000th of a second. They were dead even at half track.
Yeah, basically, I mean, they basically left together. Edwards had a slight advantage early, but, you know, Marnell with a little bit of an edge on the other end with that 685, just got the win. Great race.
That 685, though, is not going to be good enough for lane choice over Tommy Hammonds' 683. Now we move to our next pair, and We've got Larry Morgan and Kurt Johnson. There is KJ in the AC Delco Cavalier. KJ's 15 up and only 4 down against Larry. The stripe, Kurt Johnson makes it victory number 16 in his career over Larry Morgan. A 684, a 202 to a losing 687. Let's go to the far end, Bill.
But George Marnell, last year when Greg Anderson said he was going to start his own team, George, I talked to you. You said you weren't sure what your future plans are, and I guess you're glad you came back now.
Absolutely. You know, we just kind of kept the program going. Marcus Svensson did an awesome job picking the program right where it was and taking it to the next level. So, hey, we're real happy. Mike Cruz doing an awesome job, and I couldn't be happier. And this one's for Bill Smith, who passed away this weekend. And he's a good friend. He was on my crew for a lot of years. We love him. And this one's for him.
Bill did have a lot of friends out here.
Here, Bill. Back at the starting line. Big matchup here. Jim Yates, Warren Johnson. Yates finished second in the points last year. They have 8 division championships between them. Of course, the professor picked up number 6 last year. And you're still having difficulty, I know, getting used to the yellow, blue, and white paint scheme. But you'll get used to it. Warren has. In fact, he said this was his best preseason of testing ever. And that's frightening for everybody in this division if he's coming out strong. This time, Yates says, no, sir, Warren. Professor has to go back to class because a 683 beats a 685. And that means that Jim Yates is going to take the lead at least over Warren Johnson by day's end. Dave Reef, what's happening back in the pits?
Well, I'm hanging down with the Colittas. This is little Mitchell Colitta, just days from his first year birthday. And, you know, Dougie, I know you went red, didn't want that to happen, but anytime you can come back and pick this little guy, it can't be too bad.
Yeah, you know, we're rolling it back in the trailer, but real disappointed, you know, for the whole Mac Tools team. We had the car to beat, I think, today, and, you know, I let the guys down today, so I'll be definitely trying my hardest the next time, and we'll see how it comes out.
Here you go, Mitchell. Why don't you hold this, buddy? There you go.
If he talks, no. We're out of here. Take a look at the matchups as we go to the semifinals. It will be Tommy Hammonds with the lane choice by 2 100s over George Marnell in one of our 2 semifinals, and Jim Yates by 1 100 over Kurt Johnson. And before we go to commercial break, let's go to the far end to Bill Stevens.
Jim Yates was all elbows and shoulder blades getting out of that race car. You beat the professor.
I tell you, I think it's the beginning of a great season. You know, everybody's worked so hard with Powerade on board now. You know, it just makes things exciting out here, and we're excited to be at the front of the pack right now, and we're going to keep working hard on it. The crew's doing a great job on this Grand Am. I'm going to tell you right now, it is one slick piece.
Jim Yates, former Winternationals winner, going for another one this weekend.
And right now, he is looking really strong. Remember, he set the track record last round. There's the talk between Ron Capps and Gary Scelzi after their matchup just a few moments ago. Back at the K&N Filters Winternationals. Let's go back, and we've been talking about tires, but maybe it's not always the tire's fault.
Right there, we see a fuel leak there. You see the tire start to shake right there, but basically I feel that problem was caused by the fuel leak up here. That's the main inlet going into the engine. It made the motor lean, and when these things are lean, they're not making as much horsepower. It tends to shake the tires. That's what got everything in motion, causing the thing to spin the tires. Larry having to backpedal it, spinning the tires again. I think it all started from that initial hit of the throttle when they had the fuel leak and didn't have the proper fuel distribution at the hit of the throttle.
So as we look at Larry Dixon move on out, take a look at the Budweiser King, because 2002 will be the final season for the 6-time NHRA champion. 57-year-old Kenny Bernstein set to retire and turn over the reins to son Brandon. The King of Speed turned in possibly the best season of his career last year. 8 Top Fuel victories, 9 #1 qualifying spots in his second career Top Fuel championship. And he's the focus of our Powerade profile.
We had a really almost perfect season in all aspects. The completion of runs was tremendous. I think we were over 97, 98% of run completions out of 220 runs, which is phenomenal.
Bernstein, for the first time since 1987, is on a 3-race win streak.
there's 3 or 4 areas that we need to help on, and a couple of them are in my side of the table. First of all, we didn't have Tim or Kim the first 2 races of the year. They didn't start till the 3rd race. Secondly, I messed up a couple of 3 times on the starting line. I red lighted twice, which is very unusual. I usually get 1 every couple of years, but I turned it on 2 times. We won both those rounds with the lapse times and the way we were running, and I gave them away. We lost 10 points in an oil down situation because we had gone over our limits. There's a lot of points left on the table that could have made life a lot easier. Those we want to improve upon.
Oh, it's close. And Bernstein, 462. By capturing the championship in his next to last season, Bernstein does not feel the need to win on his Forever Red Tour.
The way we won with a tremendous battle with Dixon, down to the wire, I think that took a lot of pressure off for this year to have to win. We're the defending champions, so if we do it, that's great. If we don't, it's not the end of the world. I don't know of any athlete that really doesn't want to go out on top, and that would be a real good way to finish it up.
Kenny Bernstein started his professional racing career back in 1978 in the funny car class. The Texas native recorded 30 funny car wins and 4 championships in 12 seasons. In 1990, Bernstein made the switch to Top Fuel. In the dragster, he's amassed 31 wins and 2 championships. Bernstein's memories over a 24-year career number in the thousands, but 3 stand above all others.
300-mile-an-hour barrier, 1992, Gainesville, Florida. That was such a big barrier to attain, and we were fortunate enough to be the first to do it. The Vegas win last year with myself and Brandon, his first victory, first time it's ever happened in the 50 years of NHRA where a father-son has won on a given weekend. My father was there, his grandfather was there, so it was a special moment. And last year in general, with Tim Richards and Kim aboard running the Budweiser King team and putting us in the championship race and winning the championship. Those will be my memories, believe me.
When Bernstein turned pro 24 years ago at the age of 33, he didn't expect to win 61 times or become a 6-time champion.
I grew up in Texas, in Lubbock, and I dreamed of just racing and trying to make a living out of it. That was the only goal I really had. It wasn't a fact of winning or championships. It was just the chance to be able to do what you love and make a living out of it. And I'm fortunate that that's happened. And then everything else that's come along with it, to me, is icing on the cake.
And Kenny Bernstein's going to go into the semifinals here in the first race in 2002. And he'll have lane choice over Corey Mack, and Larry Dixon will match up against Clay Milliken at the K&N Filters Winternationals. Stay with us. We're coming right back. Don't forget to join Whit Watson on RPM tonight, 10 o'clock Eastern time on ESPN2. For more, log on to ESPN.com. Back here at the K&N Winternationals, we're getting news that Kenny Bernstein is, well, there you see the car being towed hurriedly to the staging lanes, and they have definitely got some problems. Remember, he had problems with the engine in the last round.
Yeah, that's interesting to see because, just in speculation that maybe the problems they had that caused it to drop them 2 cylinders, they may not have found out that problem until they went to warming up, and consequently there may have been a mad thrash to get it ready.
And let's get Parker Johnstone in here with an update. What was going on, Parker?
Marty, down in the pit lane, it was absolute pandemonium down in the Budweiser pits. They barely had time to get Kenny in the car underneath the awning. The guys, instead of towing it out with the van, got behind the rear of the car and started pushing it to the staging lanes. Eventually, the van caught up. They got it hooked up. As they brought it ready for staging, they still had the exhaust covers on the stacks. Last-minute preparations were trying to get done. I don't think that's the way a driver wants to come to the line. Right, Mike?
Well, I'll tell you, Parker, I've been in these situations before, and what Kenny's got to do, and he's also done this before, is basically you just have to focus on doing your job. You know you have the best crew in the business. You're paying them good money. You know that car's going to be prepared the best to their ability. So right now, you just got to focus on the job at hand, and that job is to be able to leave on time and get that car down the racetrack, and that's what he's going to do.
Let's talk a little bit about Corey McLenithan, because these guys have met 26 times. Corey Mack's won 11 of them, Dave Reeve.
Indeed he has, and with a 655 in the last round, they obviously had some problems too. A drop cylinder, not knowing what caused that because of the relatively inexperienced part of the team. They've just decided to go ahead and change bullets. Corey Mack, cool and calm. It's KB.
The win line, Kenny Bernstein is living large. 459, 3 323. Corey Mack had a 464 at 317 miles an hour. And actually, Corey had the jump at the light.
You know, this is a great race. I mean, Kenny Byrne, you got to give his crew a hand. They did an excellent job to come back from that Matt Thrash run of 4:59. Like you said, Marty, Corey got a little bit of a jump off the starting line. Good race down through the middle. We're going to watch here from the other end. Kenny's keeping it right in the groups. He's moving, trying to move towards the center a little bit, but that's pretty much a perfectly straight run. You see Corey right at the end. He put a few cylinders out, hurt a few pistons, and that may have cost him a race, but still it's a good run.
And you see wife Cheryl saying, yes, we're going to the first final of 2002 and number 106 in his career. And you can tell, yeah, listen, ooh-wee is right. The Budweiser King is still on top, Bill.
Last year at this race, Kenny Bernstein went out in the first round on a red light. Second round today, his opponent, Doug Kalita, fouled out against him. Between rounds, coming into that last pass, obviously a problem. Kenny Bernstein goes 4:59. And KB, that's why you guys are champions.
Well, thank you. Hats off to Tim Richards, Kim, and the whole team for doing a great job. I mean, it was a thrash to the end. We tore up everything a while ago, and it did a lot of damage. It's just tough, you know, to get it done. And, I mean, they were just waiting for us. And I got to thank NHRA and certainly Corey for hanging loose up there for a little bit. I'm out of breath, buddy. It wore me out.
When you hit the throttle, were you just holding your breath?
I just hope I didn't red light, buddy. You kidding me? After being in that big a hurry, I was so speeded up in my mind that I said, you better calm down a little bit here, son, or you're going to be in trouble. So that's what I tried to do, but they did a great job. I mean, what a statement for Tim and the guys to come back with a 59 after being in that kind of trouble.
Will be his second consecutive final here in Pomona. Remember, he won this race to end the season last year.
Absolutely right, Bill. Back at the starting line, engines coming to life on the other semifinal pair, and there is the Miller Lite dragster of Larry Dixon. Now, this will be the first time he's ever matched up with that man right there, Clay Milliken.
Yeah, Clay's kind of new to the series, you know, being the IHRA World Champion, then coming over here and running a few races towards the end of last year. But Clay Milliken's car, he's got Mike Clover's crew chief. That car doesn't run the big numbers, but it's very, very consistent.
Well, his last two NHRA events, Clay Milliken has made it to the semifinals. He has not been to the finals yet, but as they back up, we've got a breaking story in Funny Car. What's going on, Dave?
Well, much like Kenny Bernstein having to make last-minute adjustments to that race car, it's the same story for Johnny Gray in that blue Checker Shucks Kragen machine, and they have nothing more to blame for it than just some inexperience on that team. Unlike Dell's team, it's been the same for a number of years. This team does have some new crew members on it. Had to change the motor and just run it a little bit late. Martin?
I asked Larry Dixon's crew chief, technically, hey, what changes they made from that last round? He looked at me and said, everything. Fuel, clutch, tires. We're still trying to get a handle on the Goodyear tire. Larry said, hey, our last one may have been ugly. We set low ET, and we think we're going to go all the way down the track this time without spinning the tires. Marty?
You saw Dick LaHaye, and he has that concerned look. He'll reach in, make the final adjustments, and we'll go racing. Dixon in the left lane, Milliken in the right. And Milliken's already pre-staged. Larry Dixon, 4:58 is going to give him lane choice. It's going to be another battle of the beer wagons. Right out of the gate in the finals of the Winternationals. Unreal, and a respectable 470 for Clay Milliken. But Larry Dixon has lane choice in the final over Kenny Bernstein. Stay with us when we come back. We've got John Force and Ron Capps in a big showdown. Can Capps get on the winning streak against Force? Find out. Along with Mike Dunn, Bill Stevens, Dave Reef, Parker Johnstone, I'm Marty Reed, and we're glad you're with us at the K&N Filters Winternationals as we have got the CSK team, Checker Shucks Kragen, Johnny Gray, Del Worsham, head-to-head for the first time here in the semifinals. And let's go to Dave Reef.
And to further update it, normally a two-car team doesn't exactly make it to the semifinals, and another team can go over and help out. To further update the situation with Johnny Gray, they did knock a rod out of the bottom of that engine in that 487 win over Al Hoffman. So that's why, with inexperienced crew and no help from the red team, it took a little extra time. Bill Stevens?
Larry Dixon, Kenny Bernstein in the final round. Didn't you guys get enough of each other last year?
Looks like not. You know, both of our cars have been struggling all day, and now it's just They're both running good in the semi, so now it's just going to be all out beer war again.
Strap yourselves in.
Here we go in funny car. You know, for Johnny Gray, he's 0-3 against Del Worsham in his career and never made it to a final. Can he do it today? I think not. 484, 316. Del Worsham is going to move on to the final. Johnny has all kinds of problems and ends up coasting out at a 940. Let's go to Dave Reef.
Chuck Worsham, man, you got to be pretty pleased with that in your first final, first race of the year.
Oh, how are you going to beat that? You know, they had a big old mad thrash with the blue team there, and I had to work on both cars because I own them both. But, man, it worked out great going to the finals.
Got a couple green machines sitting back there, Force and Caps. Do you wish for either one?
You know, Force is running great, but Caps runs good too, and we'll give them plenty when we get up there. We always do.
All right, and they have been very consistent, but now the big question is Ron Capps going to finally step up and take advantage? Last year, it seemed like everybody would run up against Force and in the first 6 races just try and overtune the car. Look at Ron Capps' career record versus John Force. Third on that list. 5 wins, 24 defeats. Mentally, that gets in your head.
Well, yeah, it does. It has to. Even though you try to go up there and not let that bother you. As we watch John do his burnout, I mean, you're still thinking about that. There's no doubt about it. But, you know, Ron Capps is special. He's a very, very good driver. The thing that Ron may do when he comes up against Force, he may roll her in just a little bit deeper. And what that'll do is just give him a little bit better reaction time, even though you're not making up any difference because you're going to lose on any laps time. Those are the kind of things that you'll see him do against Force.
Let's go to the far end. Bill?
Kenny Bernstein won this race in November. He's going to the final round. Del Worsham won this race in November, and the magic hasn't worn off yet, has it?
No, I'll tell you what it has, and great job again by Checker Truck Craig crew. They just flawless 484. I don't know how fast it felt. Good though. Straight down the track, a lot cleaner than the last run. And my dad, Rob Flynn, everybody did a great job.
316. Dave?
Bill, one other thing that's very critical for Ron Capps in this race, even though he is such a lopsided on the bottom edge of that deal, Andy Ace McCullough needs to be able to stay within this car's tuning range and be sure to make sure this car gets from A to B. You can remember countless times last year, everybody throwing races away against John Force, who every now and then will stub his toe. You just got to pray that it's not this time and your car does go from A to B.
Yeah, basically, he's got to stay with that 480 tune-up and hope that his driver can cut a good light, right?
Well, I mean, on paper, that's what he should do. But, boy, that's very hard to do against Austin Coyle and John Force because you know the odds are they're going to step up and run a number. So a lot of times you think, I just need 200 or 300 out of this thing, and that's where you sometimes get in trouble. But we'll see what happens here.
At the stripe, Force runs a 497, 295. Capps runs a 520, having problems at the top end. And let's take another look at this one and see if we can find out what happened to Ron Capps' car.
Well, we're going to look here on replay. Ron rolled her in really deep to get that reaction time like we taught, and he gives a little bit of an advantage off the starting line, 468 to 470, not a whole lot. You see the cars leave here. Ron looks pretty good here. I didn't see what happened. Something went away, but I don't know if it spun the tires first or what. We'll look from down track. Here it goes. Ron out first a little bit. John, like he's been doing all weekend, moves towards the center line, all the way out of the group, puts a cylinder out there, and then Ron Capps has something go away. I mean, basically, he had that race won. It looks like just something went away on Ron Capps' car that cost him the race.
He definitely had it won. Look at him at half track by a 100th there, and then he pitches the blower at just past the 1,000-foot mark and ends up losing this race. So stay with us. We'll come back to Pomona. There's John. We'll talk to him. Back here at the 42nd running of the K&N Filters Winternationals, and it's time for Pro Stock semifinals in the factory hot rods. And last year's defending champion is first up, Kirk Johnson. He'll be over in the right lane against that man right there, Jim Yates, the new track record holder at a 680. These guys are almost dead even head to head. KJ's won 19 times. Yates has won 18. If Kirk wins, it'll be his 39th final. If Yates goes, it'll be his 53rd. And here we go. Guess what? 683 and 202, and there will be a new champion at the Winternationals because Kurt Johnson is on the trailer, and a nice run by Jim Yates. Now, let's go back to Funny Car just before the commercial break. John Force had the door open again on this run.
Here's a perfect example of why it's so important to keep it in the groove. Right there, he goes out of the groove, and then the cylinder goes out right there. The only reason he won that race is because Ron Cap lost a supercharger. When the car goes out of the groove there, it frees that motor up, puts the cylinders out, you lose power, starts to spin the tires, but luckily John got the win.
Let's go to Bill Stevens.
What's up, guys? John, we talked about this all last year. When you left the door open, people wouldn't go through it. You just had a 497. That's the second slowest winning laps time of the day, and Caps couldn't take advantage.
Yeah, I don't know what happened. He had me covered. I could see the whole nose, that old skull heap. I felt like the Shakedown Hustler. She was trucking down through there, and then she rattled, and then she started moving over to center line. I said, I had all the right wheel in that Mustang. I could get in her, and then it was like a crosswind that's blowing here that I bitched about all night because I couldn't sleep in Santa Ana winds, and then it shoved me right back into my lane, right in the lights. It was just really awesome deal. I forgot all my sponsors and I don't even care.
Anybody want to try to diagram that sentence?
What concerns me, it sounds like he's becoming a weatherman now. Let's go back to the starting line. Tommy Hammonds and George Marnell. Hammonds in the left lane. Marnell in the right side. The stripe, Marnell takes advantage of a great light, a 438 to a 480 light, and he hole shots Tommy Hammonds 688 to a quicker but losing 685. So George Marnell, who picked up his first ever career win last year, is going to the finals at the K&N Winternationals. Stay with us when we come back. A lot more still coming. There's the lane choice. It'll go to Jim Yates in the final over George Marnell. We're back at the 42nd running of the K&N Filters Winternationals. It has been one exciting day, and everything before this has been on tape, but we're now live. Let's go to pits. Here's Dave Reed.
1997, the last time John Force won the Winternationals, so well, you've been kind of a slug until this year. You're trying to lay down the gauntlet early.
Well, the stuff that we did with the Fadal machine group, Fadal new technology, she's making this whole heap truck. And John Medlin and Austin, Bernie, Jimmy, everybody's working together on these three cars, and we're learning. And I'm amazed at my age. I'm still learning how to drive, and you got to get on your feet with guys like Caps and now this Worsham kid out here. They want to take us out, but what I'm excited about is our team is really pulling together today with some new kids, and that's really what's exciting.
Kenny, we know that so much of driving is a mind game. There's nothing worse for a driver than a last-minute thrash. You can't go through your routine. How did you manage to pull that last run off at the last very minute?
Well, you're right about that. There's no question. You know, when you get in a hurry like that, everything speeds up. And so by getting in the car back here and hustling all the way up there, I just kept telling myself, slow yourself down, slow your mind down. You've been here before, just take it easy. And when I got up there, I felt pretty comfortable, and I says, now, think about it. See that yellow light, see that yellow light. And I just kept telling myself all the way up there. But you're right, it's hairy, it's just out of control because it's not norm. You know, as a driver, when you're out of your norm, it's tough to always come back and make it right. My crew did a great job. I just couldn't let them down. I was praying I wouldn't.
Kenny Bernstein pulled off that victory with years of experience and great skill.
And before we go to the finals, a little preview of what might be in the future. That's not John Force at the wheel there. That's his daughter, Ashley, earlier in the weekend. Another generation blooming as the head man signs all the autographs. Stay with us. We're coming back. We're back live at Pomona Raceway. It's time for the Pro Stock Finals, the Factory Hot Rods. Number 16 qualifier, George Marnell, 2 hole shot wins. Ron Krischer, Mike Edwards, and Tom Hammonds were his victims. The number 2 qualifier, Jim Yates, took out Mark Howitt. And then the Johnson family, Warren and his son, Kurt. And there they are down on the line getting ready for this Pro Stock Final where Yates is 14 up and only 2 down in his career over George Marnell. Bill?
All right, we got our mic up now. Let's go back a year ago, Marty. Jim Yates having a lot of trouble at the beginning of the year losing on hole shots. Remember, he lost the final round in Bristol to Greg Anderson on a hole shot. Then went to the Frank Hawley School, came back and won the next race in Atlanta. He will need all of whatever Frank Hawley taught him in this last round against George Marnell. As you mentioned, George has already won 2 races today on hole shots, and a hellacious hole shot to open up the action against the #1 qualifier this morning, Ron Krischer.
Yeah, in fact, Yates last year lost 10 times on the hole shot, and George Marnell won 8 times last year on hole shots. He's already got 2 in the bank this year, and he looks like, you know, I'm an older guy, but man, he has got cat-like reflexes, Mike.
Boy, he definitely does. He's been hitting the lights all day today. But, you know, Jim Yates hasn't been too much of a slouch on the lights either. But, you know, it's a final round. You got to give Yates a little bit of an edge for that experience. But Marnell's been a little bit quicker on the lights. So, to me, this is basically a toss-up.
Yates looking for career win number 24. That would break a tie with Jake Coughlin, the 2000 champion. For George Marnell, he got his first ever career victory just last year at Memphis. Pro Stock Final on the line. The first Wally of the year, being ready to hand it out. The win, and again, Marnell does it on a hole shot. 3 out of 4 rounds today. 417 on the light, a 688 to a quicker but losing 681. Wow. Let's take another look at this one. The margin of victory, 9/10,000ths of a second.
Wow, this is just unbelievable. George Marnell with a 417 light to Jim Yates 485. I mean, it was all right there at the starting line. I mean, George Marnell just had such a big lead. There was no way that Jim Yates was going to catch him. It was plenty close on the other end, but boy, a 417 light in the final. He was ready.
He won his first race in Memphis on a hole shot. He's done it again. 3 out of 4 today. We're going to start calling him the Cat. We'll talk to him when we come back. Stay with us.
That was a ride.
Today's NHRA Powerade Drag Racing Series event is being brought to you by K&N Performance Filters, the world's best filtration with maximum horsepower. By Beechwood Aged Budweiser with the crisp, clean, and refreshing taste known only to the king of beers. And by Suzuki, maker of innovative motorcycles and all-terrain vehicles. Back live at Pomona Raceway, it's time to do some serious ground pounding. Funny car final, and that's the body on the Castrol GTX Mustang of John Force coming down. Force will be over in the right lane, the #1 qualifier, looking for career win number 99. On their feet, cheering the half-track burnout. In the left lane, it'll be Del Worsham. He qualified number 6. He's looking for win number 8 in his career. Now let's take a look at how these guys have matched up. John versus Del. Back in 2001, they met 7 times in round action. John won 5 of them, but in the finals, look at this. Worsham had 2 victories to John's 1, and Force defeated Worsham back here in 1993, right here at the K&N Filters Winternationals. Mike, we talked about it last time against Ron Capps. A 497 is what John ran. It was the slowest he's run all weekend. He was there for the taking. What's going to happen?
Well, it's hard to predict the final, but Del Worsham has been, very good. Obviously, with that stat in the final rounds, two wins and 1 out of 3 last year is a very good stat for Del Worsham. I guarantee you John Force is aware of that. John Force right here, as we see Austin Coyle work on the engine a little bit, the problem he seems to be having is keeping that car in the groove in the middle of the course. And when he gets it out of the groove, it tends to want to get loose. If he can keep it down the middle, keep it stuck, I think Austin Coyle probably has a 470 tune-up on this thing, and Del Worsham's going to have a hard time beating him.
Parker, you got something quick on Del?
The very last moment, they made a clutch adjustment. They're looking for a 480-330. Del Worsham is pumped. He wants to beat John Force, Marty.
Remember, he got him on a hole shot last year and one of those 2 wins. Can Del Worsham do it again, or does John get number 99? Drivers race, ugly finish, but a 626, and John Force has won number 99, and we talk about it every time. John was there for the taking, just like last year in the first 6 races, and he escapes Dave Reef.
And all Austin can do is smile about that one. There was no crew chiefing in that one. That was all driver.
Boy, you can say that and a whole big dose of luck to go along with it. You know, sometimes it just seems like you're meant to win a race. We're mighty pleased with the performance of our cars in general, but, you know, this one, we got to chalk that up to luck.
One of the most unbelievable things about these guys, the driver compliments the crew chief when he makes a mistake, and vice versa.
Let's go back and take a look at this run, and it was not pretty from the start.
Oh, this was very ugly. Dale Worsham up in smoke immediately. That gave John Forces a little bit of advantage. He spun the tires a little bit farther down track, got her to recover, then spun again, and just smoked. He just legged her right to the finish line. That was enough to beat Dale. As you see Dale right at the starting line. John Force had enough momentum to keep that car ahead of him, and he just, when he didn't see Dale, he just legged it and smoked it right down past the finish line and got the win.
Let's go to the far end. Bill Stevens.
Smoke everywhere.
Head front end up on that Mustang. I thought that old heap was going to go right into the wall. 3 times feller. Them old Goodyears was just hanging on. Old jet hot stuff was flying over the sides. Unbelievable. Little Powerade light's going to be okay for this old guy, but Powerade to her right.
You got it right.
GTX, all my sponsors, Mac Tool, MBNA. This is really just a great deal, but credit goes to Austin Coyle right down to the wire there, Tim. So we're excited and rock and roll. Another trophy. Give it here, K&N. I'm a Fram guy, but I still love you.
He did it again.
Yeah.
99 of those statues. He's got a house just for the Wallies that are on his wall. Now, let's take one more look at John as he's trying to catch his breath.
Yeah, we see the car leave the line. Like he said, the thing makes a hard right turn here. I don't see any tire smoke. It just flat made a right turn. I mean, there's some smoke at the end of there, so obviously got a little bit loose. He hits the throttle again, almost gets her into the wall second time, spins the tires again. He's going to backpedal it one more time. He gets her kind of hooked up there, and now he starts spinning the tires, and he just legs her to the lights for the win. Great driving job.
And now it's time for the final race of the day. Larry Dixon in the left lane in the Miller Lite dragster. He's the number 2 qualifier in the other lane. Kenny Bernstein, the defending Powerade champion. While they back him up, let's go to the far end, catch up with our Pro Stock winner, George Marnell.
It took a little while to get George Marnell. He just came down out of the sky after winning a 688, beating a 681.
I'll tell you what. My good buddy Bill Smith passed away this weekend, and this one was for him. I know he's riding right there with me, and I'll tell you what, he had to be there the whole way. It was an exciting race, man. I got to tell you what, it's going to be a tough year. It's going to be a battle all year long. So we're Powerade and Matco Tools and Pontiac. I can't say enough. Thanks a lot.
A very popular win in Pro Stock.
Now back our attention on the starting line, the battle of the beer wagons. Take a look at 2001. They met 9 times in round competition. Bernstein 6 up, 3 down. And in the finals, and this is pivotal, 2 wins to none for Kenny Bernstein. So right now, in 2002, a statement is about to be made by the guys that finished first and second in the championship chase just last year.
Yeah, this could be a lot of what we're going to see the rest of this year. So obviously, even though it's the first race, it's a long season, both of these guys really, really want this win. Larry Dixon's been doing a fantastic job of driving today. He actually gave Dick LaHaye a couple of rounds to get a handle on the tune-up and ran that great 458 the run before, but you know, Kenny Bernstein was right there with a 459. This is going to be a good race.
Final race of the day. We're going to sit back and let you enjoy. It's Miller time. 453, 324 to a 461 for Kenny Bernstein. And 2002 is not going to start the same as 2001 as Larry Dixon gets to victory lane at the K&N Winternationals.
Wow, this is just a great run. Larry Dixon did not go in deep. He wanted the ET, still got a great light, a 449 light, and then just went driving away from him, a 453. I mean, the driver did his job, the crew did their job. Dick LaHaye had the perfect tune-up. It was a great win.
For Dixon, career win number 17. That only puts him 1 shy from Shirley Muldowney. Bill?
Incredible stuff as we see down here on the start line. Don, let's start with you. How about your tuner today, man? He sure learned a lot and showed his cards, and you guys win.
Well, you know, they had a great year last year, you know. Dick, the whole Miller team. Larry matured so much as a driver, and this year it's really great for him. I'm really proud of him, the job he's doing. The whole team, you know, it has been great, you know. And Mac Tools and all the people that stuck with us, and you know, it's really been super.
Dick, touche to you. We're running out of time. Want to talk to Larry Dixon, but nice job, Bill.
Larry Dixon won this race in '98. It gave Snake his first double as a team owner. Only one of your cars in the winner's circle this weekend, but a masterful job in that final, Larry.
Well, I tell you what, it's tough winning one, let alone having 3 cars, you know. And you know, we just had a great off-season testing, and Miller Lite, Mac Tools, Lucas Oil, we signed them. Oh gosh, everybody did a great job. And Goodyear tires, we're getting used to it, and it's gonna be a fun year. I told Kenny this is gonna be like a 23-chapter book, and this is just chapter 1.
And there'll be a lot of great chapters like this before the season is over.
And let's go back, take another look at this great side-by-side pass. As ugly as the funny car final was, this was just plain beautiful. 2 great hot rods going down the track with Larry Dixon getting the win over Kenny Bernstein.
This is just a great final. We see Kenny Bernstein here. You know, he gets a decent light, but Larry actually had the jump on him. It just basically didn't have the horsepower that Miller car did for the final round, and Larry was able to come away with the win. Great final. I'm sure we're going to see a lot more of this coming year.
Well, in 2 weeks, we'll do it all again as we travel to Phoenix. Tune into ESPN2, Saturday, February 23rd, 9 p.m. for qualifying action. And on Sunday, catch all of NHRA Today at 11 a.m. on ESPN2. And then Sunday evening, 7 o'clock Eastern on ESPN2. Final eliminations, round 2. It'll be the Checker Shucks Craig Nationals, all part of the NHRA Powerade Drag Racing Series. Coming up next here on ESPN, we've got the Sports Center coming your way, all the latest news. And for Mike Dunn, Bill Stevens, Dave Reed, Parker Johnstone, I'm Marty Reed. Thanks so much for joining us here at the NHRA Powerade Drag Racing Series season opener. This has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports. For more, log on to ESPN.com. So long, everybody. We'll see you in 2 weeks.